Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. So today we're going to go ahead and get a bit brat. We're going to talk about this concept specifically. So this is losing weight to get back at an ex. I know this is a little spicy, definitely controversial. I think it's something that a lot of people would publicly condemn, but privately do or want. So I want to go ahead and cover this, and we're going to keep it real here. Okay, we're going to keep it real when I cover this. So I'm going to read this person's post, and I'm going to answer the questions that they asked. And then I'm going to read some of the comments and respond. So let's go ahead and do this. This is on MyFitnessPal, by the way, which is kind of funny. It's a very funny place for this conversation to be. Okay. We all have many reasons why we want to lose weight. One reason I hear often is to get back at an ex and show him or her what they're missing, or to show off to a person who turned you down. I must admit there is a tiny piece of me that wants to do that. However, that got me thinking about a couple of things. Okay. One, aren't you assuming your ex broke up with you because of your weight? Did that person turn you down because of your weight, or is that what you think? Okay, so we're going to get real. You guys ready? Are you ready? You ready for some tea? Are you ready? Okay, let's get into this. So, am I assuming that my ex broke up with me because of my weight? I don't assume that. I think that there's a lot of reasons that we broke up. I think my ex had a lot of different problems with me, a lot, okay? I certainly had certain issues with him as well, but I don't think that he broke up with me just because of my weight. However, I do think that losing weight was a catalyst. It was something that force the issue in two different ways. So we're going to get into it. People don't like it when you get into it, but we're going to get real. So always remember, when I lost weight, I started from a super morbidly obese place. I was about, at my highest, I was 383. That was summer of 2021. Okay. I started losing weight sustainably in summer of 2022. And I was about 374, I believe, around that time. So basically, I lost around 30 or 40 pounds in 2022. And then it was something that I noticed where I think there was like a couple different factors. But when you're struggling with Pennywise. Okay. When you're struggling with toxic ritualistic behaviors, one of the things that ends up happening is you have cycles. And there were many cycles throughout the relationship. And so when I noticed after a while that every time I would start to lose weight, I would start to break into that mid-fat range. We've talked about the mid-fat curse, the duff, right? All these different things. There's a certain era or time in weight loss when you're super morbidly obese where you look less attractive or you look worse than when you're bigger. And it's a very, very toxic reverse incentive when it comes to romantic dating. And I think it's because a lot of times when you are super morbidly obese, there are times where people are attracted to you for being that size. Not necessarily exclusively, but at least in a male mind, it can be a path, okay? So if you think about certain types of body types, you think of like being very fit, being very thin, or being very fat. It's all still some kind of an aesthetic achievement, so to speak, in the minds of some men. When you're in between categories, when you're not impressively big anymore, then you start to go down in attraction. And when categories start to merge and guys can't quite fit you correctly, into a category, it becomes really tricky, in my opinion and in my experience. That may not apply to every single guy ever, but I try to explain male sexuality is, in a lot of ways, it's more black and white than female sexuality. So it's very, very like you're in it or you're out. And there can be some gray area, but it's like a lot more subtle. I don't know how else to explain it. And in losing weight within a relationship with a man, it's really tricky because you don't always fit into a category if you're switching or if you're transitioning from one category to another. So basically, what happens is there were two factors. One, I would start losing weight and I would look less attractive because of weight loss. And I'm sure you guys know, when you look less attractive, your boyfriend takes less of your crap, basically, or your boyfriend doesn't take anything. His expectations of you go higher. And that would happen at the same time when I would lose weight. It would cause hormonal effects where my personality would shift a bit in weight loss from a super morbidly obese perspective. And what did that look like? I'd become a bit more rigid. I'd become less confident. I'd need more reassurance, right? There were a lot of different factors that would come into the hormonal factors of weight loss. And I would also have less of a sex drive while I was losing weight too. So all those things kind of factor in, and it creates a little bit of a shitstorm in a relationship. And I think a lot of times that may be why a lot of times a relationship doesn't survive weight loss. I do think it can survive if it's a good relationship, if the foundations are solid, and if you're going into it, you're probably going to be fine. But within my past relationship, the foundations were very, very shaky. There was a lot of care, a lot of love there, but a lot of complicated issues within both parties, which I'm not going to get into his because I don't do that, but I will talk about mine. It was very clear what it was, okay? Very clear. And as I've always stated, when you are in toxic ritualistic mindsets and behaviors, you cannot make a relationship work. It is very, very difficult to the point of being almost impossible. It is shaky, shaky ground, no matter what. So, do I think that he broke up with me because of my weight? The short answer is no. The longer answer is no, but losing weight was a catalyst because the way that my ex felt, he wanted me to be either muscular or very big, like very fat. And basically, I was neither, right? There was an in-between phase. So it's difficult. It was difficult in that situation. Like I said, too, we had shaky foundations. So if I had to say, why did my ex break up with me? My ex broke up with me because my honest opinion is I was too rigid with him. I think that there were a lot of times where I was ambivalent towards him. I would really, really like him, but then I would doubt my feelings towards him a lot. And there are reasons why, which again, I'm not going to put his stuff on blast. But I had a lot of ambivalence, and that put things in a sort of shaky ground on both sides. Basically, he lied a lot. I'll put it to you that way. Okay? That was the big issue. So it's hard when you're not certain if you're not certain you know somebody. It's hard to not be ambivalent about that. Does that make sense? So it was shaky. And so basically, I think that he dumped me because he felt like I didn't like him enough. I think he dumped me because he felt like I was going into another toxic cycle. He dumped me because I wasn't as attractive at the time, and because the hormonal issues that were going on in my body made me look at certain issues in our relationship, and it brought them to my attention, and I wanted to bring them up because there was a lot of suppression in that relationship. There were a lot of conflicts or issues where I wouldn't bring things up for fear of losing him, which is a very toxic way to deal with things. But when I was losing weight and when I wasn't in the TRB, I couldn't help it. I couldn't suppress it. So all those things collided, and that's why we broke up. So what I say is just because of my weight? No, it's not. Did that person turn you down because of your weight, or is that what you think? Only tangentially. Okay? Only tangentially, but there was an element. There was a catalytic force behind the weight loss. And admittedly, I will say I was less attractive when I was mid-fat. It is not that attractive of a size. I know that people don't like to say that, or they don't like when you say that, but we have to be real. And I have to be real with you guys on this channel because I don't want somebody who's super morbidly obese to go into this mid-fat phase and be confused. But it is a thing, okay? But you do get past it, okay? It's fine. You will be okay. I promise. Okay. 2, if your ex did break up with you because of your weight and you lose weight, aren't you doing what they wanted you to do? So in essence, weren't they right? So this question to me, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. My ex was not a realistic person. So like I said, I think in his mind, he could only really like where I started or where I was going to end. He couldn't really like me as much in the middle. And some guys are just not realistic. He wasn't realistic. So I think, like I said, it's such a tangential thing. But am I doing what he wanted me to do? Was he right? He wasn't right. He wasn't. You know, quite frankly, I have zero communication with him whatsoever, but he was going into fat acceptance rhetoric around the time that we broke up. And I obviously took this up as my literal, cause, my literal issue, my literal, passion to such an extent. And it was, I wasn't even sure if my ex was really going there, but he kind of was when I think about it. And I'm like, it was laughable to even think it could work. So that was another huge thing, is obviously our beliefs were radically different, especially on this issue. I mean, this issue is, to me, if you are into fat acceptance rhetoric, you are honestly a joke. I'm going to just say that. I cannot be nice about it. I just can't. It is ludicrous. It is ridiculous. It is something I cannot ever get behind. It is laughable. So I cannot be with somebody who is into fat acceptance. That is insanity. And like I said, he was not realistic. And I'm not saying that I'm the most realistic person. I'm not. I'm a very idealistic girly pop, even if I'm brat, even if all these things, I'm very, in Myers-Briggs, I'm intuitive. If you guys want to know, I'm an INFJ. Which, by the way, people always say that we're so nice. INFJs are the angels. INFJs are nice. No, we aren't. If you're nice, you're not an INFJ, period. You can leave. A lot of people think they are one of us. They ain't. We're a little prickly, okay? We're a little harsh, just a touch. The J is there for a reason. We are a judger, okay? But anyways, that aside, I'm not the most realistic person either, but I think that's why it could be an issue to be with a guy who was an ENTP, if you want to know. He was also unrealistic. It's not going to work. So basically, was he right? No, he was flat out wrong. Flat out wrong. Totally ideological. Totally up his own ass. Totally wrong in terms of ideology. Completely wrong. Completely wrong. There are things I will not say, but I think he was definitely going into fat acceptance around the time. So I think that could also be another major reason why we broke up in retrospect. But like I said, I don't know how he is now. We've been completely no contact whatsoever. And I'm hoping that he changed his mind. I hope so. Honestly, for his own health, for his own sake, I really hope that he changed his mind on the issue. In my heart of hearts, I do. Because again, I care this much about the issue. On a personal level, I don't care. I'm not looking towards him. I'm over it completely. And that's also partly why I want to do this video, because I want to just kind of have like a little bit of a shout out to my ex, Lil Mix moment, which, by the way, I blame Eric because he reminded me of that song. And I was like, that's how I feel, because I'm finally like totally over it. And it's liberating. It's so liberating. So I wanted to just do this video now, that I'm feeling it. So anyways, he's not right. He's wrong. Period. Completely wrong. 100% wrong. Not it. Completely off. Okay. 3, your ex did not break up with the new quote unquote you. So when you show off your new body to that person, you are showing him/her something different. It would be like if you had a car that was, in your opinion, a junker, so you got rid of it. Someone else buys that car, fixes it up, and now it's beautiful. Well, of course, you would want the car now. Obviously, you can't compare a car to a person, just using it as an analogy. So I don't think that this is completely right. This is where, when we get real with these kinds of breakups, especially like when you have that post getting over it clarity, I cannot completely demonize my ex. Like I said, I don't have any feelings towards him at all anymore. Like, it's totally done. I would never go back, period. Not any shot in hell. Never. For many reasons. I remember when he finally dumped me, the first thing I felt was relief, because the type of, from my Swifties out there, that tolerated type of relationship is such a horrible relationship to be in. And that's what it was, where I felt like I couldn't be who I was. I couldn't bring up issues, or I had to be kind of frozen in it was horrible. And I was never going to feel that way again. And there may be some way where he felt the same way with me, because I can be kind of reactive too, as you guys can tell. And I think that kind of reactivity, it might have scared him, or it might have made him feel frozen. And so I think it might have been both sides that felt that way. But when it was finally done, I was so relieved to be out of that kind of bitter cold, tolerate it, you can't say what's on your mind type of relationship. So it's like, I don't know if it's really he broke up with the new me or whatever, or the old me, or this or that. I think it was simply incompatibility. I think it's just, I'm a forceful person. And I think that he was just far too sensitive for me to be with. And I don't mean that in a demeaning way. I have no issue dating a guy that has emotions or anything like that. It's like I don't know how to explain it. I can be intimidating to certain people. I need to be with a guy who's strong, who's not going to be intimidated by me, because I'm not actually all that intimidating. I'm a Lana Bottom girly pop. I have a mouth. I can be very aggressive verbally, but I'm not actually all that scary in real life, or like in terms of like, especially to a guy. Like obviously I could be somewhat physically intimidating to a woman, obviously, but I'm talking about within a same-sex relationship. It's just not really that much of a thing. So it was so weird to like constantly feel like that delicate quality in a guy. I just couldn't deal with it. And I think it, yeah. So, anyways, that's what it was basically. It's incompatibility. So, was it the new versus the old me? It's not. It's me. It was me. He didn't like me all that much. You know, and I understand I can have a mouth. I can be too mean. I can be indirect. I can be all these different things. But I can also be sweet. I can also be loyal. You know, I really was through the trenches. I'm a loyal person, extremely loyal. I'm also somebody who doesn't give a crap what other people think. I would never like leave somebody if they were canceled or whatever, if there was a scandal or something. I don't give a fuck about that kind of thing. I am very like accommodating in a lot of ways in a relationship. I'm very flexible in a lot of ways in a relationship. I let a guy take the lead. I'm very respectful. There's all these different things that I do bring to the table. So it's like, just because I have a fight in me doesn't mean that I was going to fight him. And I never did. I never really did. Like, we had arguments, but I never went after him or anything. I never was like vicious or anything. And so it's like, I think it's just, I'm never going to be in a relationship where my strengths are shamed and where I don't feel safe enough to be as stable because of lies and things like that. I just couldn't do it. So to me, it's like, I think this is a stupid way to think about it in terms of weight. This is stupid. Your ex broke up with you, period. You. That's what it is. Again, I think a lot of times we put too much weight on weight. I do think that we do change, but we only change because we become healthier. And in becoming healthier, we become more of who we are. That's all. You become less disordered. You become less, black and white thinking and these kinds of things that I talk about on a physical level. But you don't actually change. I haven't really changed all that much. I've always had a fight in me. I've always had, a desire to push for change and these kinds of things. I've always felt that way from a young age. And it was really just deciding what my cause was. And I found it. You know what I'm saying? So this was always going to happen. So, anyways, when you show off your new body to that person, you're showing him or her something different. Again, I know my ex doesn't care. I don't think my ex really cares. I do think my ex, maybe he is still attracted to me. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't really care that much, honestly. It's not going to happen. It's never going to be a thing. It's done. I don't go back ever. So I think it's just, I don't think you should think about that, in terms of like, when I finally started to get over it, I was just like, okay, I'm really at peace with it because of all these different things that I've told you in this video, So it's like, when I think about it in terms of my weight loss, I think about it in the way that I'm happy I proved him wrong which I know is really bitchy, but that's the part that I'm bitchy about. Is I get so much satisfaction that I proved him wrong, that he was fucking wrong, that it wasn't another cycle, that I was out of it, and I gave him so many signs that I was getting out of it. Many signs in the years leading up to the breakup. There were so many hints that I was getting better mentally. And he still threw my mental illness in my face at the end. And by the time he finally was saying all that, it was so irrelevant to me because it wasn't me anymore. I had already moved past it years prior. So it's like, I don't know. Maybe in that way, this person is right. They didn't break up with the new me. Yeah, maybe. Maybe he did break up with the ill me. But regardless, I wasn't ill the last couple of years, mentally anyways. I was physically ill, but that's a different issue. So I don't know. It's interesting. I think when I first got dumped, I was so bitter about it because I knew that I had finally figured out all these problems and I had gotten out of the toxic ritualistic and I had moved forward and I was finally sustainably doing things and getting to a place where I would be okay to be with him. And then he dumped me because he didn't think I was right. He was so sure he was right. And so for me, the bitch inside is like, I am so happy that I proved him wrong. It gives me a lot of joy that I proved him wrong. Deep joy. And it's very bitchy. It is a very, very extreme bitch part of me. But I so revel in it, how wrong he was. I love it. I do. I'll be honest. But other than that, whatever, I don't really have anything personal against him. I would never come after him. I would never wish pain upon him. But I hope in some way, shape, or form that me proving him wrong snapped him back into some type of reality. That's what I hope for in terms of him. But anyways, I think the biggest thing is I did all that work. I wasn't rewarded for it. I was punished. I got dumped, right? But it leaves a very, very bright future ahead because I know that I feel it in my soul. I believe the next relationship is going to be the one, so to speak. I think I will be okay. There's not going to have any of these issues. All this guttural work, all of this stuff that I had to deal with and figure out is done. And so it's like, I don't know. My ex, he was with me through the worst years of my life. Not completely. He was very selfish. He abandoned me multiple times when I really, really needed him, including in 2023, because it was one of the hardest years of my life. On a psychological level, it was very hard, but it wasn't his business anymore. So in that sense, I still had mental health issues, but it's like that was due to the actual weight loss, not Pennywise. So in terms of that, I was very disappointed last year that it's like I'm relying on friends and I should have been able to lean on my ex at the time. And that's the kind of sourness that I felt a lot last year. And also I've really reached this point where I'm so much better now and you left me when I'm better. And I got even better last October. And it's like, damn, it probably would have been so much better if he would have just stuck through to the end. But at the end of the day, his trash will be someone else's treasure. The work doesn't have to be done again. And I knew that he would regret it. I feel like he probably does deep down if he still looks at stuff, which he did for a while. But at this point, I don't know if he does anymore. I don't even really pay attention. But I would say I think he will regret it forever. I'll always be the one that got away because he left me when I was about to rise out of it. And I think that's a sting that he'll always have. I did everything I could to make it work. I did everything I could. I even gave him a full year to change his mind, and he didn't. So I am completely clear in my conscience. I feel that I fulfilled all the duties that I needed to, and I am completely happy, justified, and completely at peace with the idea of moving on. And I'm completely over him. And so I won't live in regret. I won't live in this or that or the other. I won't. And I know that the next person will not simply tolerate me, but will celebrate me. I know it. So anyways, I think I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. I was going to read the other comments, but I think I just had a lot to say. I did. And shout out to everybody in the audience that have gotten over an ex. I'm really proud of you. I'm with you. I want to be happy about it, and I am. And I'm really looking to the future with a completely clean slate at this point, and I am just so happy about that because it's been a long time of processing. And I will talk to you guys again tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day, night, etc. Peace. Bye.